Well, let's flip over and talk about our local interest stories. We got a couple of those here. Big one here from the Tampa Bay area over the weekend. Don't know if you heard about this. Roxanne, you said you actually had only just seen the headline, so maybe folks haven't quite heard about this yet. But there was a shooting over in Lakeland at about 4:23 in the morning, Sunday morning, just yesterday morning, 4:23 a.m. It was a guy named Brian Riley, 33 years old, former Marine. Of course, they say once a Marine, always a Marine, but he surely wasn't acting like a Marine in this case. This took place in an unincorporated part of Lakeland, so outside the city itself, near North Socrum Loop Road and Fulton Green Road. And apparently what happened was he invaded a house and killed a family that was there. I think there was a boyfriend, was about 40 years old. There was a 33-year-old woman. There was also a 3-month-old infant that the woman was holding in her arms. All of them were shot. There was also an 11-year-old girl there that was shot, I think, 7 times. Now, amazingly, she survived. She was taken to the hospital, and she's actually been able to survive. There was also another shooting in a nearby house, which was a 62-year-old woman, which was the baby's grandmother. Now, the story that is coming out here is that this guy, Brian Riley, didn't know these people at all, which sounds awfully strange that he killed this whole family and then went and killed the grandmother in a nearby house. I mean, it almost doesn't really make sense that he didn't know them, but that's the story that's coming out. That he didn't know him. Apparently, his girlfriend is singing like a canary, which, you would expect. By the way, she said he had PTSD, but he's never been violent. She's never seen him be violent. She has noticed he was depressed, and she did hear him on Saturday night start talking about some very strange stuff, that God was talking to him about something particular. There was a young girl named Amber, supposedly, who was going to commit suicide. And she basically said, look, God's not talking to you. I think you're losing it. And he apparently got pretty angry at that, so she went to bed. And then, of course, she wakes up Sunday morning to the news that obviously he did not go to bed. He instead went over to this neighborhood. And we have no reason to believe that any of these children, including the 11-year-old's name was Amber, so I don't know where that plays into it. But one key fact that may explain quite a bit of this, because, by the way, after he killed these people, the deputies heard the shooting. Some deputies rushed over and tried to go into the house. He shot at the deputies, so they had to back out. Then more deputies came. They shot at the house. Apparently, this guy, Brian Riley, got hit once, and then he walked out with his hands up. And much to Sheriff Grady Judd's chagrin, if you saw his press conference, he said he would much have preferred that the guy came out with a gun so they could have taken good care of him, and then read the newspaper through him. So, in typical Grady Judd fashion, he's quite the press conference hound, and always has some funny things to say. Although it's really a tragic situation. But anyway, the guy came out and surrendered, so they didn't shoot him. They took him to the hospital. Apparently, he'd been hit once. While in the hospital, by the way, he tried to grab a deputy's gun. So they had to wrestle him down, restrain him, and sedate him. He's since been released from the hospital and taken to jail. And he's actually, I think, this morning facing his first appearance. I guess they're having, of course, in criminal court, they have to keep these things moving. But I read that he's having his first appearance this morning. But the key fact of this whole situation that I wanted to point out to you, and of course, by the way, he's admitted to all this. He's confessed to all this. Riley has. But the key fact, in my mind, is that the guy was smoking methamphetamine. Apparently, this is something he does regularly, but he was apparently smoking it also that night. And obviously that can lead to major psychosis. And, folks, you got to stay away from this stuff. It's so bad. It ruins lives. It's just absolutely terrible. And now it's ruined an innocent family's life. We'll be right back. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.